and inspired by you. So I'm so excited to hear from you tonight.
Thank you. First, thank you to the New American Speakers Program for giving us this opportunity to share our stories with you. And thank you to my fellow colleagues who have gone before me for sharing their wonderful and resilient narratives with us as well. So my name is Sumaira, and currently I am residing in Connecticut, where I am a full-time employee at Yale University. I'm also an alumni of Yale. I graduated last year with my master's in public health, and I am so grateful to be here to share my story with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for the first part of my talk, just to give a little visual to go with my presentation. So just 1 second. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. My story began in the late 1980s in a landlocked country in the heart of Asia, Afghanistan, the country of my birth and the ancient yet misunderstood land of my ancestors. I was born in Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, during a brutal civil war, and hence my family was forced to leave their beloved motherland and seek safety in neighboring Pakistan. While in Pakistan, my family was very fortunate to be approved to resettle in the United States as refugees, and we came to the US in 1992. So here are 2 photos that are very valuable and essentially the backdrop of my story that I'm sharing today with you. The first photo is that of a young child refugee from Afghanistan, still adapting to a completely new country, a new environment, barely speaking any English. And like any child my age, just trying to fit in and be like my peers. The second photo is a very powerful symbol illustrating that the United States is indeed a land of opportunity. In this second photo, I'm no longer a child refugee from Afghanistan. Rather, I am an Afghan American graduate and employee of one of the greatest academic institutions in the world, Yale University. And I am well assimilated into my surroundings. This photo was actually taken in the beginning of this year. And what's even more powerful is that the man in front of me is a recent refugee from Afghanistan who was forced to flee the country with his family in August of last year after the government of Afghanistan collapsed and the Taliban took over. In the photo, I'm helping fill out medical paperwork for him in order for him and his family to get free COVID tests through a partnership with Yale. So I'm sure many of you are well aware of what happened to Afghanistan last August and just how much the situation was heartbreaking and devastating, that after 20 years of progression, especially for women's rights, the country fell once again to a cruel regime. The first photo is of some young, precious Afghan girls attending school. The second photo shows the result of the Taliban taking over and forcing women once again to disappear from society, forbidden from higher education, forbidden to have a career, forbidden to even leave their homes without a male relative accompanying them. Okay, all right. So what I just shared with you is what makes me, me, a former child refugee from a war-torn country, a proud Afghan American who values education so dearly, and am so fortunate to follow my dreams in this wonderful land of opportunity, but also someone who has never and will never forget my roots. And hence, the more opportunities that I'm blessed to have, I will make sure to give back to the new wave of Afghan refugees that are resettling in the US. Also, as a woman who strongly believes in women's rights to an education, to a career, and to self-determination, I will continue advocating and speaking for my sisters back in Afghanistan, and I will continue speaking out against the Taliban regime, who I will never recognize as the legitimate government of my beloved homeland. And all of this will only be possible if I use my voice. My voice, my story, my lived experiences as a child refugee holds great power, and I'm aware of this power and will utilize it to help others like me, not just refugees from Afghanistan, but all refugees, immigrants, migrants, asylum seekers, and anyone who wishes for a better life for themselves and their families. The message that I want to send to the audience tonight is to welcome refugees with open arms. Refugees are some of the most resilient and courageous individuals on the face of this planet. They have experienced the worst that humanity has to offer: war, conflict, destruction, death, hunger, pain, poverty. And yet, despite all of this, they're still striving for a better life for their families. Refugees are no different from you and me. Look at me. I'm a refugee from a country where it's almost a crime to be a woman. And because I was welcomed to this country with open arms, I was able to graduate with my master's from Yale. I hope my story illustrates the power and beauty of accepting refugees with open hearts and open arms. They will only bring more beauty into the American society. So my name is Sumaira. I'm a former child refugee. I'm a proud Afghan American, and I hope my story has been meaningful and has encouraged all of you to get more involved with refugee resettlement agencies in your local communities and your local cities, and to welcome refugees with an open mind, an open heart, and open arms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sumaira. That was so inspirational.